Listen, laugh, and learn.
You have to drill that target audience.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash.
Until they are consuming your product, not because they love it, but because they can't escape.
We're all business.
Drill, baby, no more pussyfooting around.
Except when we're not.
Hey, welcome to the Focus Group. Tim Bennett here, arguing with John Nash, my good friend and co-host, about pronunciations of something. But
debacle? Debacle.
No, it's debacle. It never was debacle.
Did I say debacle?
You said debacle all the time, and I don't know where that comes from.
Right.
It's debacle.
Debacle.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, everybody's nodding yes. That's your
Everybody's the
that's
whole
your
world.
tutor
The
English.
whole world just
That's your
nodded
tutor.
yes.
That's your tutor English. Wouldn't you study tutors or something?
Tutor England, specifically.
There you are sitting behind a green
the
screen.
Tutors, Henry VIII, etc. Yeah.
Say, hey, listen, it's the Focus Group. We're all business except when we're not. I have to say that because John said we paid for it. So,
you wrote the check.
So be sure to join us here every Saturday, and you can find us on all your platforms of choice at focusgroupradio.com. We have new shows that launch every Saturday, and once in a while during the week, we'll surprise you on Facebook with a special. I think we've got one coming up soon, John, about you and I've gone on a shopping trip. That will be airing sometime. So also, if you have any questions for John and I, or you'd like us to answer a question, we have a phone number, which is 914-FOCUS-GR. That's 914-362-8747. 914-FOCUS-GR. So you can go there and leave us some tips or questions or thoughts. And if we use your comment on air, you'll get a pair of our famous socks. The other thing is Focus Group Radio is our moniker for all of our social media. For whatever reason, John, people are still joining both pages. And I don't know how to stop
We've
it.
seen that. We know that behavior from other people that have the two pages. So
I don't know what to do about it. So anyway, so on today's show, we've got a packed show as always. We're going to be talking to Damian, and I'm going to say Pelliccione, but John thinks it might be Pelliccione. Was that right?
Yeah, that's the spelling, but as you pointed out, some people...
You never know.
That would be the Italian way of saying it, and they might not prefer that. So,
but he's CEO of REVRY, which is a new LGBT digital content streaming service, which will be available on Apple TV, Chromecast, ROKU, and also on your mobile devices. And, John, I think we are going to be
part of it. About a week from now, our show will be available on REVRY, and so if you're an Apple TV fan and he'll tell us about the tech history, but the change in the Apple TV programming language is what kind of got them into this. But then we'll be on Roku, so it's what they call OTT, over-the-top boxes. So it's the box that sits on top of your cable box, like Apple or whatever. So our shows
will be on Apple TV.
Mm-hmm. We'll be there for all our video, and the audio will be there as a podcast as well.
I hope the conversation with you doesn't get too techie with him.
No.
Okay.
Promise, no.
So how was your week as you're winding up these dog days of summer? Are you
not bad? I'm kind of going to miss August. The last show we talked a little bit about August and how it's usually kind of a quiet. It's the what did you say? It's the week between Christmas and New Year's. It's that weird quiet time. With my animation work, I will have about 3 more classes, and then I've decided to smartly. I think it's a very smart thing.
Are you done with that yet?
Well, it's 6 classes that are 3 months each, and I had made myself a promise that I was going to drive through and do the whole program in 18 months. But I really feel like taking a break, and the reason I want to take a break is to go back and just kind of redo some of the projects that I did to make sure I understand the learning correctly.
How long would it take you to actually do if you said right now you wanted to do a 8-minute movie?
Oh, that would be a huge project. That's months. Now that I know what's involved with all this, it's
not as simple as, because at one time, I'll animate it.
Go right ahead. And that raises a great question. I mean, there's all levels of animation, but the stuff we're learning is ideally the Pixar, Disney level of these characters that deliver these very believable emotional performances. And there's so much involved in it that I never even suspected, just down to anatomy and body mechanics. And that's where I'm kind of at right now. I'm in this class called Advanced Body Mechanics, and my 2 projects were a character that does hopscotch, which you have no idea how unbelievably complicated that was to do, because the body, we take it for granted, we do these things, right? But the body does all these things that you watch in reference video, and you're like, oh my God, the weight shifts, the weight
Oh, we know your mother. You're not interested in biology. So that's tough for you.
Well, so that's a little different than watching an
Body mechanics, right?
mechanics are like movement. So it would be like we had to watch athletes recently, and I chose to look at some Olympic rowers, and just the act of how a rower, and you know this from doing it, but if you had to break down your motion,
Arms, shoulders, legs, slide.
and that's exactly the sequence. Yeah. But in actuality, the shoulder and the core are driving a lot of that, even though the way you recite it is the way the action happens. There are other things that are subtle. So it's amazing when you get it right. Like my current project is a character climbing a ladder. And ladder climbing is very unusual when you study it because of what the body does to shift left and right. And I nailed this one part of it really well. And the minute you see it, your brain says, oh, that's a ladder climb. But if it's not right, you're like, I don't really buy that. The animation doesn't look right to you if it's not physically correct. Yeah. So
More patience than I do.
I'm looking forward to a break, only to just reabsorb what I've learned over the past 9 months and just kind of, and we're going to be very busy. We have a road trip coming up. We have a cool road trip, and
starting in Seattle, ending up in Denver,
Colorado,
and all places in between. We're going to see a couple of show fans from back in the day, which are still show fans.
Idaho.
Yeah, Mike and Kip in Idaho. Mm-hmm. And you might drive a tractor and pick some spuds. I don't know if we're going to. I don't know if we're going to have time. I don't know if we'll have time for that. But we'll be going through Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming.
We're probably, as Tim said to me the other day on the phone, we're going to probably be seeing things that we'll never see again. I mean, how often do you go to Mount Rushmore? It's like Grand Canyon, Mount Rushmore. It's one of those big country. You don't get out there all the time. I guess if you work there, there's one.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's and
you know what Bob's godfather said about Mount Rushmore when he was alive? He said Bob's godfather was this great guy named Bill Clary, and Bob goes, they destroyed a perfectly good mountain.
Well, they did it just for that reason, because no one went to South Dakota.
Yeah.
It was there was actually some talk of renaming that area, making it one state. So in other words, if Puerto Rico ever became a state, or Washington, D.C. became a state, you still want to keep 50. Yeah. You don't want 51, mess up the flag. So you could take a place like North and South Dakota and make it the Dakotas. Right. It would be the state of Dakota rather than North and South. That's just me pontificating about that. So what caught your eye this week?
I got two simple ones. On the focus group, we always like to say that it's very important to send notes. You send a note to somebody, you've had an informational interview or a job interview or a thank you note. The notes make the day. This caught my eye because it was a man quits his job by sending his employer a sympathy card.
Really?
Yeah, so this guy, it was someone on Reddit posted this, and I think the guy's name is Alex. There it is.
Well, I thought that was your friend Alex.
No. So he bought a sympathy card, like when someone passes away. He went to a store, and it said, the card reads, even though you knew this time would come. I think it's for someone who might have been in a nursing home or something. Even though you knew this time would come, there's no way to prepare you for this loss, the letter reads. And then Alex signed the card and making a note of the 2 weeks later in the day. So it
says, even though you knew this time would come, there's no way to prepare your heart for such a loss.
I am so sorry.
I am so sorry. Alex, 2 weeks notice, 8/16. That's hilarious. If I got that, wouldn't you laugh? I think that's better than one of these. I've learned so much while I was here.
Yeah, I'm so sad to go, blah, blah, blah. So
I wonder what kind of job it was. Did it say?
No, it didn't. Nope.
That would be interesting to find out.
They just keep mentioning the employer, so they didn't say who it was. And I just thought you'd get a kick out of that, because what an original thing, a sympathy card, right?
We knew this time would come.
We all knew this time would come. And the other one was a study that how do I phrase this? Okay, so Yale University researchers were doing what they call a longitudinal study about health and retirement. And that's a long-term study where they look at many aspects of a problem, and this is about health and retirement. But what they found was that book lovers live longer. And
you don't do anything but sit around and read.
Done. Study's done. Now,
I told you that.
the graphic that I put up, if you're watching YouTube, I put, I love the guy reading the book to the right. He's wearing dog tags, and he's got this
That's fake.
He's in He's in the To Exist army. He's taking a break after fighting
What's he
a To
reading?
Exist
War and
battle.
Peace?
It's probably a notebook saying, I was treated badly at a model
No,
go
it's
see
like
today.
I did 15 squats and I did 4 on the bench bench
I
press.
was hit on at a casting call, and a dirty old man.
I'm having a soy non-fat latte.
I just thought, that reading is fundamental, and it's fundamental there. But what they discovered was, and this was totally an accident, and what that means is it was a causal, it wasn't a direct relationship in what they were looking for in the study, it was a causal one, but they found that anybody in the age group of 50 and older who engaged in 3.5 hours of weekly reading were 23% less likely to die during the period they did the study, of 12-year period. So those who are up to 3.5 hours, an average of a half hour a day, were 17% less likely to pass away. The interesting thing about this,
You never heard of anyone dying reading a book.
no, but
He was reading a book and dropped dead.
but the yeah. But here's the part that made me smile. Unfortunately, the Yale researchers said longevity was not increased by reading newspapers. Well, I could have told you that. I mean, a book is creative, it's imaginative, but whose life is extended by reading the newspaper, right? It's all doom and gloom all the time.
Who would have even read that article? Where was that from? I mean, you find these things. That was probably out of the news.
Washington Post. Oh my Lord! Look at the face, like the Washington Post. It's just right up there with the New York Times. And if you're
Post is not.
If you're Trump, it's crooked media. The crooked media wants you to read more books, right?
Well, there's Trump Press.
Trump Press, yeah,
Be able to do that.
published in China. So anyway, read books.
Read
You'll
books,
live longer.
okay. Yeah,
That's
that's-
caught my eye.
Okay. Well, of course, mine can't be any vastly different. There's right up the road here, I suppose, in Westchester. I guess it's Westchester, New York, or that's different than Westchester County. Is
Westchester is
close
part of
by?
Westchester County, yeah.
Okay, so Westchester, New York.
Oh,
Sleepy,
no, yeah, there may be a difference. You may be right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sleepy Hollow High School.
Yeah, that is different, yeah.
So there's a kid, teen convinces 60 students to wear the same Hawaiian shirt in the yearbook photo.
Oh my God, that's
So,
what you did that
so I
for.
put pictures here. So this kid got 10 of these Hawaiian shirts, and during picture day for the yearbook, he passed them out. So I'm sorry, he bought 5 shirts, and so only 10 kids knew about the prank, and so they'd go in and get their picture, and then they'd give the shirt to someone else to put on. So the people were reluctant for a little while until the head of the science department decided to do it as well. So even some of the faculty, you'll
Which
see
you show there in
some
your
pictures
picture.
there. Even some of the faculty wore the Hawaiian shirt. And he didn't get in trouble. It reminded me of something you and I would have done.
Oh
in
yeah,
high school.
I love the idea though.
Yeah, it was hilarious. And so if you could
Want
see
to know
this
what
yearbook.
before you continue? Want to know what I thought when I saw the graphics you provided? I thought that we were looking at older and younger versions of the same people,
Oh, that's interesting.
but that didn't match up.
No.
Not the ethnicity or the age or the hair or anything. So I was like, okay, so this explains it. All right.
I will say the interesting thing, when I looked through all the pictures, there definitely was a white boy aspect to this. The students of color and some of the women did not partake. So this must have been like a frat boy joke.
Okay.
Because I did notice that in all the pictures. But I did think it was a funny concept. And the school principal said that she loved this type of fun. I'm sure this is what she said to the press. Very proud of the students for their ingenuity and for being so smart and creative. And she said that's the best part about the high school is the wonderful relationships the kids build and what a wonderful place and special place it is and how much fun they had with this prank. And of course, now they've instituted a dress code. So
Now, Tim and I should share that when we graduated high school, our prank was that
who came up with that? But was that Marianne?
I thought it was Brenda. It was either Marianne, Brenda, or Stacy. It's one of the troublemakers. Our prank was that we gave the principal, when he gave us our diploma, everybody handed him a marble.
Right.
And halfway through the ceremony, they were falling out of his pockets.
Well,
on
he
the
had his
stage.
suit was bulging with these marbles, bouncing all over the place.
So I want you to know that for years after that, because my mom taught in the school district that Tim and I went to high school in, and it was every year that graduation happened at the high school, someone would bring up our class of whatever. And remember that, we hope those kids don't know anybody that did that marble joke. But
Well,
he
he-
saved the marbles. There was a glass
In a jar, and you know
on it.
why? He turned it into. Do you remember what he said about it?
It's a teaching moment or something.
Well,
Right?
because the Pomperaug High School, so the Pomperaug Indians, when they would go somewhere, they would always leave a gift. They'd bring something or they'd leave a rock behind. So he said we were good Pomperaug,
That's right.
Pomperaug Indians, and we were leaving
a gift
leaving
behind.
something behind. And he had them on his desk for years.
Yeah.
In the marble jar, which was
that was our
kind of fun,
prank. Yeah.
which was a great idea. The other thing I had here is. I do this all the time, and I don't necessarily agree with this article, but it says, are rotisserie chickens a bargain? So, you see those at the grocery stores all the
$4.99,
time.
$5.99. I always buy them.
$4.99, $5.99. So somebody actually did a test. It's an exhaustive study. They went to all these different
What
places.
would you be testing?
Well, they were drying the chicken out. They were seeing how much time went into cooking, what went into the herbs and spices. If you took all the water out of them, what does a chicken really weigh? So what they're essentially saying is the chickens are a lot smaller than you think. Sometimes they're pumped up with water or whatever to make them bigger. And that after all the studies they did, it's actually cheaper, they said, by 52 cents a pound to make the chickens at home. I disagree. I think there's nothing better than picking up the damn thing, going home, cutting it up, or doing what you're going to do and having dinner. I don't want to turn the oven on in the summer. I can't make it taste as good as I buy it as a rotisserie
So
chicken.
you just actually, you and I have talked about this number of times. Here and you were the one who turned me on to this. One day I said to you, "Hey, I was going to do a grilled chicken salad for dinner," and you said, "Why don't you just go and buy the chicken?" And it was cheaper than buying the chicken raw, right? And to cook it, and you process it. We made chicken soup afterwards with the bones and stuff.
Yep.
So
They say we Americans eat 1 billion rotisserie chickens a year. But essentially, after somebody did this story, and it was quite a long study, that a lot of people thought that the reason they were so cheap was because they were price leaders into the store. So if you went there, you'd definitely probably purchase something else.
that's right, and they're usually in the front where
But they said it's not really about that. They said it was. They said that they actually do make money on these chickens, and that they're actually smaller than if you had bought one and cooked it yourself, and that it's actually more money. I don't know how the time it would take for you to cook a chicken.
Well, that I love studies like this because it comes down to the simple notion of what's your time worth.
Yeah.
And if I'm saving 52 cents a pound and it's a 4-pound bird, do I really worry about the $2? Right?
No, because I don't do drugs. So if you did drugs and needed the money, it's one thing.
Where did we get the drugs from?
Well, because, save money. We waste a lot of money. But I don't want to put an oven on when it's 95 degrees out and 100% humidity and cook a chicken. I'm going to buy the $4.99 chicken.
I'd rather take that money and buy some crack. I mean,
Unless I needed the money to get a hit or
Came from get a hit, yeah.
On this day, the dog days of summer, how many bananas do you eat a year, John, August 27th?
I eat about 25 bananas a year.
Do you really?
If that's a lot if I do that. And I only eat, and I buy them the way you taught me to buy them. So they're green,
Yeah.
a little green. The minute they go really yellow, I can't really have the banana.
I rarely eat a banana.
You do if it's the not too ripe.
Today's Banana Lovers Day. The average American eats 33 pounds of bananas, or
Oh, I don't eat
100 per person a year. Now, Ed back there in the audience is telling us he eats one a day, so that's 350 bananas.
You could just take potassium.
352.
The chewable Flintstone vitamin might be easier than the peel.
That's a lot of bananas. 1859, the very first oil well was successfully drilled in the U.S. by Colonel Edwin Drake near Titusville, PA. Remember Quaker State Oil?
That's right.
Oh,
Oh, that's
welcome to
Quaker
Titusville.
State. Yeah, okay.
I think that's out there.
Yeah.
1880, it was really, I struggled today, August 27th. There's nothing going on right now. We talked
days.
about that last week with the dog days of summer. Not a lot happened either in history. 1889, Charles Kahn received the patent for the metal clarinet. Did you play the clarinet?
Laura did, my sister.
What did you play?
I played trumpet, tuba, and baritone.
Oh, well, that's right. I love the tuba. Played a lot of things.
As marching band tuba, too.
I remember how lazy you were on the tuba. I remember watching you in high school because...
Oh, my God. Now, drugs and baked chicken.
No, remember you with the tuba because you'd be sitting there with the band, you'd be yammering in the
Yeah,
back, and then
Denise
at the
Hines.
end of the song, they'd be like, womp, womp. And that was all bad.
You're not lying. Tim's not lying.
I was like, what a lazy instrument.
so
I got to play the tuba.
You know, my
John,
my
back
tuba
there talking
mate,
the whole time, and then womp, womp.
Tuba mate was Denise Hines' sister.
Yeah, Candace.
Oh, it's
Candace
Denise. Yeah,
Owens,
Candace was our age. Denise was like a year or two younger. Denise and I would sit back there, and our music was like nothing, 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 and then the end of the song, bum bum bum, and then boom boom boom, and then we sit back and start laughing again. You
Lazy and
nasty
tuba. 1921, the owner of Acme Packing Company bought a pro football team in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Packers.
Green Bay Packers. You ever been to that stadium?
No.
Not a lot going on in Green Bay. It's like a lumberyard and a Chinese restaurant.
Devout.
Oh yeah, no, it's huge. It's a big deal. It was part of my territory back in the day when I used to call on car dealers, and I was so excited. I don't know what I expected of Green Bay, but it wasn't what it was when I got there. It was an old lumber town. 1938, Robert Frost.
Poet.
Right. He apparently was a bit of a jerk, everybody says. I didn't realize this. They said that he hated other poets, and one particular night in 1938, Archibald MacLeish, they were at a poetry reading up at the Bread Loaf Writers Club in Vermont, and he started heckling him from the audience, which they said, if you ever go to a poetry reading, that happens.
It happened?
You'll heckle other poetry, other people that are reciting. I didn't realize that. They said, so that wasn't out of the ordinary. But when that didn't knock him off his game, because he kept talking loudly and saying, all his poems have the same tune. They all sound the same, and he was making so he started a fire.
Again, chicken, drugs, tuba, fire, and poetry. I don't know how this got there.
So he was unimpressed, and he decided he lit a fire and caused all kinds of mayhem there. He said it was an accident, but of course the poetry reading was cut short.
Now, we went to the same school district. I wonder if you, even though when you were learning this, we were both in separate towns until the high school, you had to have learned a Robert Frost poem.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was?
No. By the shores of Gitche. Oh, the road less traveled.
I learned something called Autumn. I think it was, oh, hushed October, morning mild, thy leaves have ripened to a fall. We had to memorize the damn thing. That's how I could do it right now. How I remember it, I don't know. But anyway, continue.
You've got so much useless knowledge in that head. You think something would hit. You missed Facebook. You missed everything.
Missed everything, yeah.
Your guy, how old do you think Pee Wee Herman is?
I think Pee Wee is probably in his early 60s or late 50s.
Happy birthday, Paul Rubens, known as Pee Wee, or we know him as Pee Wee Herman. 64 today. Pee Wee Herman, there's his playhouse, John. That's the kind of set you wanted us to have.
That's what we need to be on. When
set?
we evolve the show, we got to get a cherry, a clocky, a magic screen, the picture phone.
A Dickie. 1998, Titanic became the very first movie in North America to earn $600 million.
Is that why you put that?
Sci-fi? Titanic?
Dead air on the sinking of the Titanic. How is that sci-fi?
Because I only thought sci-fi movies made so much money. So that's why I put that in there.
You remember why this movie made so much.
What happened in history? I don't want to hear
Near Far. That Celine Dion song was like, that was one of the things that
Dion.
drove people to the theater.
What happened this week in history?
It was also a quiet week in scientific.
Or science, I'm sorry.
We might evolve this segment to be STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. STEM sequence.
Considering last week you talked about Star Trek, you could really push it.
I plan on pushing it because I understand when I look at the week in
I
science.
saw a bunch of stuff for science. There was all kinds of cosmonauts shooting off and everything.
Okay, well, I chose to go with the following. In 1845, the very first issue of a magazine called Scientific American was published.
Yeah.
So that's the old one.
It's out of business now, isn't it?
No. And here's the new one with looking at neutrino physics or something. In 1953, a fictional space doctor was born, and that's why I've decided to push the envelope a little bit. But that would be none other than Gates McFadden is the actress who portrayed, I bet you know her name.
I have no idea.
Oh, I bet you do.
I don't. What show is this?
Star Trek The Next Generation.
Never saw the show in my life.
I am not gay. I have not said.
I'd watch The Burning Log before I watched this show.
You mean the Yule log?
Yeah.
All right. Well, she plays Dr. Beverly Crusher on the show.
I mean, I couldn't find this on a bet.
I couldn't find this on a bet. You're happy.
Is this show on?
Oh yeah, it's in repeat now.
Oh,
it's a huge show.
What she got on her chest? Just like Madeleine Albright
brooch?
brooch?
That's her spicule. That's her beep
Spicule?
me up thing. You always make fun of those little spicule things.
She doesn't look that old.
Well, no, that's back
she was 53?
That's back in the 80s. She was born in 53.
I thought this was a new show.
No. All right. So I threw in there because you know what? Star Trek inspires the science and the engineering crowd. So there you go. August says me. August, and it's my segment. August 30. The first black astronaut, the first black American astronaut, was launched aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger on the 8th Space Shuttle mission.
Why is his suit orange?
That was the suit they used to wear on the shuttle at launch.
It was orange?
Yeah, it's the launch suits were different in case they had to do an evacuation or something. His name is Guion S. Bluford, Jr., and he became the first American astronaut to travel in space. He logged by 1992 688 hours on 4 different shuttle flights, and he was a crew specialist.
What did they do up there?
And well, in this particular mission that he launched on, they were testing the robotic Canadian-built control arm. The shuttle had an arm that used to pull. That was all. The Canadians did that for us. Thank you, Canada.
They could make an arm. They didn't have to get you up there.
And last but not least, also on August 30th in the year 1752, the Julian calendar was officially retired for the Gregorian calendar, named after Pope Gregor. Or Pope Gregory, and the deal was that the church wanted, and this is...
You two have the same shirt on today. You and the Pope.
He's fancier. He's got jewelry and slippers on.
Well, he's got white. You both got white and red on.
Santa Claus there. So the Gregorian calendar was launched in Great Britain, Ireland, and the U.S., the British colonies, including those on the East Coast, and it took away 11 days. So they went from August 30th to September 14th, and the idea was that for more than a century and a half before, the calendar would drift, and so they were trying to get the vernal equinox, which is close. It was just when Easter happens, and the solstices to all line up correctly. So in the Gregorian calendar, the calendar we're on now, every 4 years, or there's the leap year system,
right,
takes away the time that we slip on the calendar thing. So that was.
And that's science.
That sure is.
The Pope.
Someone came armed and ready today. Armed and dangerous.
Last week, my costume was made so much fun of, my shirt.
Yes, and I will say to our listeners and our viewers now that if you go to last week's show, especially on YouTube, and look at Tim's shirt, after we recorded, I realized the term that I wanted to use was a soda jerk.
Yeah.
The guy behind the soda counter. Can I get you a black and white, John? Yeah, I got a quarter, Timmy. I'll get me a black and white. Soda jerk. That's why he's gunning against the science stuff. But then
I'm not gunning against it. I'm just trying to see the connection.
Well,
I thought it was going to be all space.
It doesn't have to be. Science happens all around us. Be the guy that invented the ballpoint pen, or
that's science.
It's science, yeah.
Well, engineering, yeah. Okay, so that's a STEM segment.
It's a STEM
cell. The business birthdays were the only show in the universe that does business birthdays. Normally, I wouldn't pick this guy, but Charles Dawes was born today.
Now, why wouldn't you pick him?
In 1865. Well, he died at 85 in 1951. He's an American banker, politician, military general. He was 30th vice president of the U.S. under Coolidge. He won the Nobel Peace Prize for getting Europe back in shape after World War I. He also was controller of the currency, ambassador to the UK, and he also founded City National Bank, which was in Illinois, which he was chairman of for a number of years. But he went to my college.
I thought I recognized that building.
Yeah, he went to Marietta College, where I went to school. And the library was named after him until they just ripped it down. But so now there's a new library there.
I'll let you slide on this one. I mean, you apparently would never seek out a Star Trek: The Next Generation and watch the U-Log instead. But I'll let Charles Dawes go because
Chuck Dawes. And then the other one, and this probably could have gone under science. Charles Rolls,
as in Rolls-Royce.
Rolls-Royce was born today in 1877. Motoring and aviation pioneer, co-founder of Rolls-Royce Manufacturing Company, English-born Welshman. Together, he and his friend Henry Royce founded Rolls-Royce. Very tragic. He was killed in an aeronautical accident with one of the Wright brothers' aircrafts. It looked like his Wright Flyer, they called it. Took off during a flying display. You know, don't ever go to an air show.
Oh, my God.
Air shows have been killing people since they started. So this was an air show in the UK, and the plane crashed. He died at 32. There's a statue of him there now on the site of where near the airport where he died, and that's a picture, if you're watching YouTube, the picture of the crash of the plane. I wouldn't have gotten in that thing. Looks
Well,
like
no,
a
that like
balsa
one of
wood
those
flyer.
yeah, like the old Wright brothers.
He looks like a dandy, though, doesn't he?
I was just thinking the same thing before you said that, especially the high collar,
Yeah.
the high collar shirt.
Rolls and Royce might have had something.
But I tell you, Rolls-Royce engines, if you look at aeronautics today, there's only 2 or 3 companies that make them, and it's Rolls-Royce and General Electric and
Donald Douglas.
Donald Douglas maybe. But
Dynamics.
But Rolls-Royce engines are considered, in terms of jet flight, some of the finest jet engines around.
So they erected this monument. He was the very first Briton to be killed in an aeronautical accident with a powered aircraft. The 11th person internationally to be killed. So it was the
Interesting
first
distinction.
Yeah,
right?
so it was the first fatality, aviation fatality in the UK. So they erected a memorial. So happy birthday, Charles.
There you go.
That's
All
it.
right. Well, did you learn something today?
Well, I learned that no. I'm trying to think. I learned about the calendar.
The Gregorian calendar. A good takeaway. Good takeaway. You remember Beverly Crusher too? That
What else did you do?
she might cross the radar.
Did something about Yale, where there was a study there about aging and reading books.
Reading books.
If I read, I'll live longer. Nobody dies reading.
Well, that's
it's a
not exactly
newspaper.
what the study said, but
When's the last time you heard somebody died reading a book?
well, no, yeah. Anyway, hey, it's the Focus Group. I'm John Nash, joined by my good friend and co-host Tim Bennett. We're going to take a really quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be welcoming the CEO of REVRY, a new LGBTQ digital content streaming service that our show is going to be on. It's on Apple TV and Roku and Chromecast. His name is Damian. He's going to be joining us when we come right back, so stay with us.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Been in business a week. I got more money and I know what to do with.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
Herrera Rocher. He is doing well.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. Tim Bennett here, as always, with my good friend and co-host John Nash. We like to take an entertaining look at the world of business, and we are all business, except when we're not. Be sure to find us on your platform of choice, your favorite platform of choice, by going to our site, focusgroupradio.com. And we're happy to announce we're soon going to be on a new platform, which is available through Apple TV, called REVRY. We actually have the CEO of REVRY joining us now via Skype, and REVRY is a groundbreaking new and the world's first LGBTQ digital content streaming service for Apple TV, Chromecast, Roku, and mobile devices. So it's Damian Pelliccione. Did I say your name right, Damian?
You did, Pelliccione.
Pelliccione.
See, I told you.
I thought it was Pellicone.
How are you guys?
How are you?
Hey, Damian, this is John here, and I'm looking forward to being big in Japan.
Big in Japan.
Because people around the world, it doesn't matter where you are, you can get the REVRY app, correct?
That is correct. Right now, we are already in about 50 countries. We've been downloaded thousands and thousands of times. It's really exciting, especially last week. We had some really big news. We had articles in Macworld. Wired Germany did an article, which was very exciting. Daily Dots. New Now Next. We even got an endorsement tweet from Logo. Logo sent a tweet about us, which was really exciting. Yeah.
Are there? Does it cost? To tell us a little bit about how somebody can access REVRY, and so they download the app, and then how do you go about accessing the content and so forth?
Yeah, so that's so funny. That's my ringer. I'm so terrible. I forgot to turn it off. It's the transparent yes queen ringer. That's how gay everything is here at REVRY. But no, so REVRY is an SVOD platform. So we're subscriber video on demand. We're $4.99 a month or $54.99 a year. We're available on all platforms, so you can actually purchase us in-app on Apple Television or on a mobile version for iOS. We're also on Chromecast, so you can download the app on Chromecast. You can download the app on Android, Roku, and then, of course, we have a web version. And then later on this year, we've got a couple of new and exciting platforms that we're launching on, which I can't talk about just yet, but we'll be doing some linear OTT, which is live streaming over-the-top television. And it's very exciting. We've seen a really big need for this specific market, LGBTQ content, because there really hasn't been anything like this in years. You know, Logo's been great. We love what Viacom started out doing 6, 7 years ago when they first launched, but it's pivoted so many different times that it's not so much focused on the diversity factor, the lesbian, the bi, the transgender factor. And so that's really important to us in the content that we're bringing globally.
Hey, Damian, I'm curious about something. One of the things that excites me about being on your platform, is the fact that you're on Apple TV.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about that is from a curatorial point of view or from a discovery point of view, the new Apple TV allows people to get content via apps, and it's a lot easier to find things than if you were just thrown into the iTunes App Store. So once someone buys the subscription or they're checking out REVRY, I think you guys have a free demo as well. What is once you're within the app, how are you handling the experience for the user from an editorial or curatorial point of view?
You know, it's a really good question. You know, our tagline is curated entertainment. And for us, curation is very key. We have folks here on our staff that specialize in content creation, as we like to call it. And what we're doing is we're really vetting the content that we bring onto the app. You know, I believe, and many people, you know, today have services like Spotify and Apple Music because it's not about the library of content. It's about what's being fed to them. It's the curation. You know, content's no longer king, curation is king. And so we are really putting together a library of wonderful forms of media, LGBT media. And, you know, for us, it's not just podcasts. It's not just music videos. It's also albums from indie queer artists because it's an audio or visual experience. We have short films, feature films, TV shows. We have viral videos from influencers, how-to videos, you name it. You know, cooking shows, talk shows. One of my favorite shows is Cooking with Drag Queens. It's a wonderful series from Chicago, Feast of Fun. It's great fun, and it has a lot of the RuPaul queens on it. And then Bare Naked Chef. I mean, who doesn't want a really buff, hairy, hot guy teaching you how to cook? You know, those are two of our highest rated shows, along with Gayborhood. Boy in a Dress is a wonderful film by a great filmmaker named Antonio Yee. You know, we have wonderful lesbian content from a great library provider of ours, Tello Films. Kristen Baker, who we absolutely adore and love, has given us 4 of her wonderful lesbian series, which really shows a really positive, diverse community within the lesbian community. It's really like the content that we have, I can't stop gushing about and talking about because it's really something exciting. And soon you guys are going to be on REVRY.
Yay. Got to upload the stuff.
So you guys are less than a year old, right?
Yes.
So how did the name come about?
So REVRY means a fantastical idea. You know, it literally came to us. We were vetting a bunch of different names, and it's based on REVRY, REVRIE, or REVEREY. And so we made it very happy, and we you know, took out the extra syllable. And what's been really exciting is, you know, this idea started. I was working for another company, Make TV, in Germany actually at the time, and I love all the Make TV guys. I was doing biz dev. I was in my hotel room in Germany, about to go to IBC, this big broadcaster conference in Amsterdam, and I was watching the keynote with Tim Cook, you know, talking about the new iPhone and the new Apple television. And he talked about tvOS, this new operating system that Apple was launching, and how it was going to be open source. Immediately, I had this concept, this idea, and I was just floored and excited because I'm kind of like a gay geek, to create a network, you know, that was powered independently from any studio or network. We bought the Apple TV, my partner Chris and I, right when it came out. We immediately started searching and scouring the tvOS App Store for lesbian, gay, bi, transgendered, and there was nothing. Nothing existed. So we immediately raised some funds, found some wonderful developers, and then we were in open beta. Our launch was March 7th. Ironically enough, at the time was my 35th birthday. So it was kind of, you know, you're up to the app gods when you submit an app for when it actually goes live. So it was really exciting. We were checking every day that it happened to be on my birthday. It was the greatest gift I think I've ever been given. And then from there, we really focused on user interface and design and the experience that the consumer would have. So we put a lot of time and attention for the next couple of months on really polishing it up and building our library, licensing a lot of wonderful content. And we went to market consumer-facing on San Francisco Pride, which was the end of June. I was on a couple of talk shows. We had great media attention. And almost instantaneously, we were downloaded 2,500 times. And that's a month and a half ago, and our numbers have tenfold that. And it's really exciting to see the countries that we're downloaded in. When we first set out, you focus on the United States. You focus on English-speaking countries, the UK, Australia, Canada. And what was really, truly a treat, I think, was there's countries like United Arab Emirates, there's countries like Saudi Arabia, Russia, Brazil, that are some of our biggest markets, but some of the most emerging markets where it's not even okay to be out and gay. So they're seeing our app, they're watching and consuming the content because, for us, we believe that stories change the world. And so slowly but surely, we're helping to kind of shape the landscape of global LGBTQ content.
I want to have some new fans in Dubai and the Qatar.
North Korea.
Yeah.
Tim swears he wants fans in North Korea. Someone's going to download the show in North Korea.
You know what? You said something interesting from a business point of view. Why do you think nobody's done this prior to REVRY? It's a huge undertaking.
Well, I think the technology issue, I think Damian spoke to that very smartly when he said, Logo was going to be for all of us a place where our stories can be told. And I don't mind Golden Girls and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I do mind them 24/7. And I think that the idea behind it had been our documentaries, our series, things that were LGBTs. But I don't know that the Viacom model would allow for that because of a sales thing. No,
but even what REVRY's done, I'm surprised it's taken this long. I mean, have other people tried and failed?
I don't... Our research shows that no, not a lot of people have tried and failed because up until now, there's been about 4 or 5, let's face it, LGBT media conglomerates. But they're run by old, rich white men. I'm going to call it out right now. And so, our whole...
It's true.
And here's the thing. Our backgrounds from our executives... We have Aaliyah Daniels, LaShawn McGee, Wadua Wali, Chris Rodriguez, Ben Mason, myself. I'm not even American. I'm from Canada originally. We come from a very diverse, authentic position, whether it's in traditional media or new media, to create a company that represents all of our stories. And I think that's the real unique point of view and perspective from REVRY. And we're not just focused on the G. Even though I am a gay white male, I don't believe in putting that content first. Our 2 original series, one of them, which is so exciting, After Orange, is about females leaving incarceration from a Las Vegas prison and the female-to-female relationships that they have, both in and out of incarceration and the rate of recidivism in the United States. It's our real-life version of Orange of the New Black, and that's a really exciting series. We've got so much coming in terms of docu-type series, like the Asylum Project. This is a brand new organization that we're partnering with that we're really excited. Adam Sandell in San Francisco approached me with this project, and it's a really great docu-series that's coming. The sizzles are going to be out very soon on REVRY, and it follows gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered people, queer people, as they leave and seek asylum in the United States. What they had to oppress themselves up, coming from Syria, coming from Turkey, coming from different countries. And you know what? To me, that just is the most exciting story to tell, more so than any RuPaul drag queen, more so than, like you said, a rerun of Golden Girls, because that's representing an authentic voice within the community that has never been told before.
I would say, Damian, that the need is remarkable because Tim and I talk about this a lot in terms of LGBT media. You nailed it when you talk about the number of glossy publications is declining. The newsprint seems to be healthy, but I don't read it myself.
Yeah.
And TV has transformed a lot of people. Think about back in the day when Will and Grace was on, how Will and Grace moved the ball for acceptance for the community. So I'm dead sure that not only you're going to have a lot of LGBT subscribers to REVRY, but I bet you when you start parsing your audience out, you're going to have a lot of allies and friends in that next circle out for REVRY as well, who want to see our stories as well.
Yeah, and and here's the other thing too. It's exciting because no matter age, race, creed, nationality, or sexuality, REVRY for us, our main focus is diversity, and diversity within, we're starting within our community. We really see this as being such a bigger project than what we initially started off doing not even a year ago, like 10 months ago. It was November 1st. Chris and I founded the company, put together the team, and by December 1st, we were already in development. We moved really fast. We've done a lot of work. We have wonderful people, wonderful interns who are now becoming assistants, and we're starting another round of internships very soon. To me, being at the helm of it is a little overwhelming at times. I'm a first-time CEO, but at the same time, I'm also really excited because this is something that I think truly has wings, truly has a capability beyond what I initially envisioned, and to see it live for itself and breathe for itself is very exciting.
Now, behind you, I would be remiss if I didn't.
Yes.
Okay, no, I'm actually looking at Maria from the movie Metropolis.
Yes, right.
Is that a Metropolis poster, or is that for something different?
Like trying to make this work. Right there. No, these are, it's funny. This is my first office, my first executive. Look, I'll show you guys around. I even have a couch. To me, that's really.
Oh my God, you got a casting couch.
Yeah, I've never had a couch before. And we're right here in the heart of Hollywood at Studio Production Center. Right below us right now, Cake Wars is being shot. I can smell it whipping through the rafts. But yeah, I'm inspired by film. I'm inspired by classics. Hence why we have the artwork in the background here. And I'm inspired by creators from all over the world. I think it's what I think really excites us is that we're doing something really different. From a technical standpoint, we're even coming out with something very soon called REVRY Live. We're going to actually push multicam user-generated streams into an OTT environment. OTT stands for over-the-top television. So think like Periscope and Meerkat and Facebook Live coming directly into, your REVRY application. So by next Pride season, hopefully we'll be sponsoring some Pride events. You can show us your Pride with REVRY Live.
I'm just gesturing to Tim saying we're planning on being live for you guys.
Oh my God, we're
so great.
This is going to be great.
Whatever you say, John.
Whatever.
This is awesome. Yeah, this is something that we've been working on with wonderful companies like Make TV. We're actually going to be demonstrating. I'm going to be in Amsterdam in a couple of weeks at the International Broadcasters Convention, showing how REVRY Live works. And then, we've got some really exciting appearances too. I'm going to be at Tucson Pride coming up. I'm going to be on the Morning Mix. I've been doing this morning news talk show. It's really funny. We're getting these calls from like great publications, but like all over the country to come on and talk about, what we're doing here at REVRY. And so it's really stoked. I've been really stoked. But the most excited I am is MIPCon, which is kind of the content conference in Cannes in France. I've never been to France. And this is in the middle of October. So myself and Ben will be in France for MIPCon talking about REVRY. I'm going to be on a panel, which is going to be great.
You're gonna love it.
It's amazing how those morning shows, that's how I discovered you. And we
really?
discovered you. I saw you on the morning show in San Francisco.
Yes. Yeah, we did.
I contacted our folks and said, hey, we've got to figure this out and learn more. So congratulations. You guys have done a great job.
Thank you.
So for our listeners, before we let you go, what's the easiest way for them to find REVRY? If they're Apple TV users, I assume they can go onto their Apple TV, the newest version.
It's fourth generation
fourth
only.
Gen, yeah.
The old, just the new one. The new one's open source. But you can find us on the Chromecast App Store, the Roku App Store. Just on your mobile, your iPhone, or your Android device, you can download us, and that'll also screen share and translate to your living room. But the best way to find all things REVRY, find out about what we're doing, is go to our website, revry.tv, revry.tv, revry.tv.
Oh, that's the perfect use for one of those TLD things. There's like we've been waiting for like focus group something, right? But nothing's really struck us. All right, Damian, I want to thank you for joining us. To all our listeners, again, it's REVRY, REVRY.TV. We urge you to check it out because it's a place we're going to be too. And we're very excited because your whole team has been fantastic working with us.
Oh, awesome.
So
We
far,
are so
until there's a
happy.
technical problem, then Ben's going to like jump on me and say, no, you can't do that. All right, so Damian is the CEO of REVRY, and it's been a pleasure to speak with you and to see you, and we're very excited to be on the platform. So have a great day. Thank you for joining us, and we're going to see you on REVRY.
Definitely. We'll see you very soon. Take care, guys.
Thank you,
Bye.
Damian.
Bye.
All right, it's the Focus Group with John Nash and Tim Bennett. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we have some shop talk to go over, right? So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by the Volkswagen Golf GTI. Named one of Car and Driver's 10 best, 10 years in a row. Now, back to the Focus Group with Tim and John.
Glamour today is nothing but a tight skirt, loose hips, and wet lips.
An entertaining look at the world of business.
Make it work. Make it work. Make it work.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. Tim Bennett here with my good friend and co-host John Nash. We want to thank Damian Pelliccione from REVRY. Did I say that right, John? Pelliccione.
I believe so, yes.
From REVRY TV, and as John and I have mentioned, we're going to be on there shortly, probably in about a month or so, right?
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Oh, okay.
Actually, from this air date, a week.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So be sure to catch us there as well as all the other platforms that we're available on. For Shop Talk this week, John had found an article.
No, this is you.
Oh, was this me?
This is you. The August one was, last week was me. This is you.
Oh, okay.
This is a good one, too.
Well, I thought it was good. So this came out of Fast Company. It was called Brainstorming is Dumb. And John has talked about this for years. John and I talk. And John always used to say, even at his old business partners, Greg or Dave, that John did his best thinking when he was either by himself, on his bike, walking the streets of Manhattan, whatever you were doing, right, John?
Usually it's on my bike by myself, yeah.
And so I read this, and it said brainstorming is dumb, and it says studies show it produces fewer good ideas than when people think on their own. And then it says, thankfully, there's a better way to work in groups. So I read this all excited, and initially I thought I'd find some nugget of insight here.
I did.
But my conclusion was?
What?
I thought it was just another way of packing what we already knew, which is that if you had a great idea, you're going to think of that on your own, and then you're going to share it with your friends, and you'll cull it out and come to the decision as to what makes sense or not. And I thought it reminded me, you and I used to always say when we were forced to constantly review authors on our old platform to fill the 2 hours, that every business book was the same, it just had a different title.
Well, they were all loosely based on what color is my goddamn parachute.
Right. So
I don't have one. I'm not falling out of a plane. There's your.
So when I read this, they went through a bunch of different studies and ideas about how brainstorming might not necessarily be the best thing, but a combination. And there's something they call brain writing.
Brain writing. So I agree with you.
You don't have to.
I agree with you that it seemed at first to me that I was rehashing something that I'd heard before. But there are some actual good takeaways from the article.
What was one of your takeaways?
Well, this brain writing thing. So so here's the deal with brainstorming. You get 6 people in a room. Let's all ideate. We're going to come up with ideas.
I hate that word.
I hate that word too. And the downside is, and the chief downside is that a brainstorming session, like a research project where you're doing qualitative research where people are sitting around talking about a product, groupthink happens where 1 or 2 voices dominate and other people then cannot share or contribute to the idea. So
they tune out.
Yeah, they tune it out. So if that's the biggest downside, they said that this new method, or this method they've experimented with for many years called brain writing, is you're all in a room together, you're still brainstorming, but you're writing your ideas on paper and you pass them around. And so I would pass mine to you, you would pass yours to someone else. We read them and we digest the ideas, and then we either discuss them or write about the idea that someone passed me and how I would change it and everything. And they claim that the brain writing thing yielded half as many or double the amount of good ideas that a brainstorming session would do. And the key part, though, with the brain writing was they also discovered that when you put people together in a room and they do that for a while, you should let them go off by themselves. They'll think about the ideas for a while, and then they'll come back and they'll rejigger the ideas, and you'll get better ideas. So it was the best of both worlds. You could be in a room with people and come up with stuff quietly, but you're going to come up with even better stuff when you've had the stimulation and you're by yourself.
Right, so the bottom line was the think quietly as a group, and you would share ideas write them down with pen and paper, and then be alone to let those digest, and then come back and actually have a discussion and decide what's what. So I think that's what we do, though. That's why I thought it was repackaging. I think the added step is this pen to paper of writing it down, because usually, as you said, you'll get together and you'll all just say, oh my God, we've got to come up with an idea for blank, or we need to figure out a way to creatively sell this product or this car or this something.
I'll say this. I consider myself extremely lucky that when I owned my 2 agencies that you managed us. And I'll say the reason why is I've had a number of clients in a number of industries that didn't manage the creative process quite the way you did. And so to put it into a picture for our viewers or listeners, an ad agency comes down to solve a problem for a client. Normally, it's help us figure out a way to frame and talk about and sell our product.
Right. Or reach a particular consumer.
And you give us information about the product, the brand. There's marketing statistics. There's research we can look at. We leave. We come back with some ideas. In Tim's case, that idea session was never the final point of the process. And in fact, we were rarely dinged. It was always the case of, I like this, this, and this. You would look at 6 different ideas, and you would actually very smartly say, I like all the language you're using here. I love the imagery you're using here, and talk to our brand guy over here about how you integrate our logos, and then come back in 3 weeks and show us the campaign. And then when we came back, it was usually down to 1 or 2 styles, but you were then just choosing the style, not the thing. Having worked with soda companies, spirits companies, insurance and finance and stuff, totally different things. So in a weird way, you actually were doing the brainwriting thing. We didn't call it that.
Right.
Where, I'm saying that because you allowed us breathing room. And then nowadays, when Tim and I have been business partners for many years now, previously on Sirius and now with our new show, many people mistake your silence. And you get very quiet sometimes, especially when a lot of talking is going on. People throwing around ideas all the time. Well, I could talk the horns off a goat.
You and my father.
Or I could talk the paint off a wall. Come on off the wall, paint. So you get really, really quiet. And I know what that is. You're actually synthesizing. You're listening to everything very carefully. And I've been trained to jump into every breach of silence because if I'm in front of a client, I want to be making an impression or I want to be solving a problem. You're not trained that way. You're actually trained to listen, and then ask the 2 questions that need to get asked. And then, so when Tim and I travel together, we do our best brainstorming in the car, and a lot of it will be, I'll say something 50 miles later, and I'm not saying it's that long, but we'll talk, and then you'll say, hey, remember what you said back in Boise? I've got an idea. And the amazing thing is that the idea has evolved ever so slightly, but in a different direction that's really fun. And so I guess the whole summation of this brainstorming thing is however you come up with your idea, there is no one way, but I do think there's a better way than a bunch of people talking in a room. I think when you break into smaller groups, when you share your idea with people,
Yeah, no, and I think as a study and as an academic study, it was an interesting read. I do think so much of this is cultural.
Yeah.
And meaning, what is the culture of the company?
Yeah.
For instance, we've talked about General Electric, where I had a former employee, good friend of mine, that left the culture of Subaru, which was a very collaborative, very polite culture, and went to General Electric, which was much more cutthroat. And
stand up for the meeting.
Stand up in the meeting. There was no sitting down. It was a very defined time. Whether you could be having the greatest discussion, but because the clock said it was over, it was over. And so it was a very different culture. So I often wonder if so much hated it, which a lot of people do. It's a tough culture, but some people thrive in that. And so I thought with this sort of brainstorming article and they did it with a tech company, I think
Yeah.
they said they used a tech company. So I thought it was interesting. I thought at the end of the day, though, we all do pieces of this. We understand the groupthink. We understand somebody can control the conversation, but I think a lot of it's cultural. So that was my takeaway.
There you go. I agree.
Corporate culture, I guess.
Corporate culture, yeah, because I was going to say, in our case, you and I can have an idea on the telephone, and it goes from there. There's our show, folks. We want to thank Damian from REVRY TV. You could find us there, by the way.
Say his last name.
Pelliccione.
Pelliccione.
Pelliccione. All right. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get nailed on this one.
You talked about that. So did you.
FocusGroupRadio.com has everything you need to find us on all the platforms, video and audio, and soon the REVRY logo will be up there. Big thank you to Volkswagen of America for being our partner for many years here on the Focus Group. Tim and I are heading out west soon to test drive and do a road trip in their new all-track wagon. We're very excited about it. We've been talking about it a lot, so it's going to be fun. So thanks for joining us. Tune in next week or when you see one of our specials pop up on a Wednesday, and have a great week.
Join the Focus Group on all forms of social media. It's easy. And like good marketers, our branding is uniform across all platforms. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope at Focus Group Radio. Again, join the conversation across all of our social media platforms at Focus Group Radio.